Good evening and welcome to the Darwin Innovation Hub's webinar on the topic of big promise, right? It's a big promise, I won't lie. Researching, planning, and then putting together your webinar or workshop in 10 minutes. Whew, this is going to be a challenge. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my browser. We're going to get this one underway because I think I just promised something which is going to be really hard to deliver. And I normally feel pretty bad about that. But the fact is, I've done this myself before. So, how do we do it? As you're sort of dropping in, and hello to all of you who just dropped in now. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know on a Tuesday evening, it's a little bit hard to do it. I'm currently in Brisbane, so not in my normal environment in Darwin, but I'll be back again next week and really looking forward to it, in fact. So we want to research, plan, and write a workshop in 10 minutes. The quickest way around this is to use your tools like your Google Geminis and your ChatGPT. So what I might do here is use Google Gemini, for example. I tend to talk to my AI tools because I type like a terrible old man. So what I'll do is I'll talk to it and go, I'm putting together a workshop for people who want to learn how to use ChatGPT as a research tool rather than just as a chatbot. They are generally small business owners and solopreneurs, maybe freelancers as well, but they might also be just interested as an employee to better produce materials for corporate reports and maybe even for things like, oh, I don't know, just getting the everyday work done and being better able to serve their customers. What I want is simple language. I want stuff that shows real world applications of using ChatGPT for these kind of things. But rather than focusing on the employee, I really want to focus on the person who's got skin in the game and is really about their own business and really wanted to streamline their processes. They want to be well researched. They want to make sure they're putting facts out. So it's really important the facts are there. And then also have this in a format that's going to be run in a 30-minute webinar. So it's going to be quick, it's got to be short, it's got to be sharp, but it's got to be well researched. Let's go. So I'll just put all that in. I'm going to do a little bit of research on that. Normally, if you really want to go deeply into this, what you could do is use the deep research mode just here. So deep research, I'll go in there a bit more. You don't need the pro version to do that. You can do it on the 2.5 all-round fast help version, which is the one that's included for free. You do get a certain amount of pro version usage as a free user as well. I pay extra for Gemini because I use it so heavily. And to me, it's a way more reliable researcher than what ChatGPT is. Now, at the same time, I'm going to go to ChatGPT and ask it exactly the same question. So it's going to go then and do a bit of research for me over there. So it's actually gone into deep research mode anyway. So let's go with starting the research. So it's going to take a little longer to put this together. We don't have all the time in the world tonight to be running through, waiting for it to do its research. But as you see, it gets right underway. One of its great advantages is it does search for a lot of sources. So whereas ChatGPT will tend to just go, here we go, I've done it for you. I'm not really giving you any kind of background. It's just giving you basics. It's not really giving you any sort of citations or references for where it's getting anything. Whereas Gemini at the moment it's actually doing research in the background. Very shortly, you'll see it start to produce some information there. So look, I've got enough here to sort of put together something. So he's a simple framework that you can use to structure prompts. It's doing a really good job. The problem is though, it hasn't really done that depth of research I'm probably look like I'm trying to do. So I could, force this into slides, a printable PDF handout, and this can work for almost any topic as well. Now, Gemini is in deep research mode, so it's going to take quite a few minutes to get all that information together and make it usable. We're going to play with the ChatGPT stuff that we've got here. It's asking me if I want some slides. I don't want to create slides, but it can. A printable PDF handout, that would be amazing too. So what I really want to do, I want to get all this stuff here, all this content that it's putting into that workshop for me. Back up here. So let's go. Why research matters for people with skin in the game. Not really the topic I was looking for, right? What I was looking for was how to use ChatGPT to do research. So that's like something it actually got completely wrong. But it does go up here. The webinar title is Research Like a Pro. So it did get that correct. So let's highlight all that stuff we're going to take over because we're going to take it into another system called Gamma. And Gamma is then going to wrap this up for us. Now, I'm assuming that we agree with all this content in here. Now, it's the rapid is probably not the format I would use. Cross-checking on other sources, that's pretty good. It's got some good stuff in there. This is using the very latest 5.1 version of ChatGPT. Again, you'll get limited use of that on the free version. On the paid version, you got a lot more usage. If I was using the free version, let's just say, like, it's automatically on for that, we could go to just the instant answers right away. It'd still give us something pretty good to work on because we're asking it about itself. Gamma then is our slide maker. So I use this when you do, I believe, get a certain amount of usage of this for free. I pay for this because basically at $20 a month, it saves me probably about 6 hours a week. So over 4 weeks, 24 hours of time, $20 is nothing. It allows me to then paste in some text and paste in all the text I just got from there. I'm looking for a traditional shaped presentation. I'm not creating a web page, although I could. I could produce a document as a handout. I could produce social media carousel tiles if I wished to. But what I'm doing here is just producing the webinar slides itself. And it's giving me some options here. Generate from notes or an outline. I could summarize the long text into more condensed text or preserve the exact text. Now, there's way too much text on there for a bunch of slides. So I'm going to just look at summarizing the long text and then putting that into my slides. So once I've got that, I usually do the generate from notes because I get it to go and do a little bit of extra research in here just to sort of back things up. But I'm going to assume I'm really happy with the research. I don't need more. There's also other ways you can do that. You can import files. You can import PDFs. You can import PPTXs, all that sort of thing. So what it's done in here, it's going to give me 10 cards or 10 slides. I can make that go higher because it's over half an hour. I reckon 15 is fine. It's 2 minutes per slide. I can then go that I want this to be concise, detailed, or minimal. I really want this to be minimal, like not that many words on it, just the bare minimum we can get away with. In UK English, definitely. And now I've got an option here to start playing with what theme I want to use. Now, I've built a bunch of themes for different things that I do. What I might do is view more and I can see more. So for instance, once I get this back, come on, buddy, come back down to size. Let's get that back. So if I go view more, once again, here's all the custom themes I've designed. And then I've got standard themes that come with Gamma. So if I was to pick out one of these standard themes from Gamma, let's just say this one looks good. And then that's the theme it's going to build it in. Then I can ask it whether I can produce AI images. I go in close again, AI images. I can use images from stock photos from Unsplash if I wish to. Web images, it'll search the internet for images, but they'll often have a watermark over them. They can generate AI images, which is what I usually use because it's just for illustration in the background. You can have illustrations like drawings done from Pictographic. Animated GIFs, you can have placeholders so you can add in your own images later. Don't add any images at all or use accent images, which they use decorative images from this theme. And I don't actually have any in my theme, but this theme that we did select will have some accent images already as part of it. So if we're going with that, traditional style, I can also, I'm just going to go, auto select the AI model. So I don't really care which model it uses, but I want either photorealistic, illustration-based, 3D art, line art. I often use line art because I find it doesn't have that telltale, I produce this with AI signature to it. It looks kind of, not artsy, but it looks like you've actually put some thought into the images that are going there. So let's just choose line art. I can then put some kind of things in there. So I can go make the images black and white only. Because what it will do, it will usually pick up the colors from the theme. So it'll pick up the colors. Now, that might be a good thing. We could take that out and just let it pick up the colors from the theme. Or I can say, make it minimal, make it single line drawings. So it looks like it's been all driven with one line and hasn't had shading or anything like that. Whereas the art that it's showing there, the line art, would not be a single line drawing because it's been colored in parts. So this would be like very, not skeletal. Oh gosh, I just did everything I shouldn't have done. There we go. Back again. Sometimes I swipe the wrong way just to make things a bit bigger. So single line drawings, that's fine. I'm happy with that. 15 cards. What I could do, I could go through and break up each of these. So for instance, instead of that being all jammed together, I could go in there, put that there, and that tells it that's a break between that, and that's a new page there. So I can break those up. I'm not going to do that because I've already told it basically that I'm trying to do this in 15 cards or 15 different things. So let's generate that and let's see what it does. And it's pretty remarkable how quick it's going to do that. So bear in mind, we just went and got the research done in ChatGPT for our thing. So yeah, I'm going to have a very big caveat for this in just a second. This is producing a really nice set of slides, really quick, not too wordy. Yeah, it's starting to look good. It's starting to put in some images for us. So it's giving us a workflow, another workflow, a lot of workflows, fact checking, the rapid research framework that it was looking at before when we saw the plan for it. You can see how the theme is working out. It's come to the end. Let's go back at the top and we'll start to see, you can see how it's used the single line art style. So it hasn't colored any of them in, but it's used the colors of the theme in the background. So you can then add anything into these once you've got all this. I like the single line theme it's actually used. It actually is kind of cool. That's exactly what I was trying to do. What I can do, I can add things in. So I can go in here and say, well, I want to add an image. So I can add in an image of something from AI, or I can go and add in something I can upload. If I want to upload something, I can go to my vast collection of different things I've got in here and load up a picture of myself or a logo. Let's see if I can find a logo for myself. CS logo. There we go. Element only. So that's my logo there. So pop over here. It's here. And then I can just drag that in to make that a bit smaller. I want to put a logo there. I can put another, oops, I got to pull that back in. I can put another logo next to it. So if I've got a sponsor logo or something or a program logo, I can do that. Now, I have the power to play with things like fonts, make that one a bit wider, change the color to a different color in the theme, if that's what I want to do. I can also change the layout of any of this by changing this card styling. So across goes to the left. I can make the image go to the background like that. Or if I really wanted to, I could just make it so there's something at the top, but on the side kind of works fine for the opening screen. You also change the size of all this too by just going to the different heading styles. So I can go display and it's a bit bigger again. That's probably what I'm looking for, a little bit bigger like that. As you go through, you just edit the things you need to edit, basically, and you have a workshop ready to go. Now, my caveat that I'm going to give you before we go into another example of this and use some of the information we got from Google over here, from Gemini, which has given us far more research from far more sources in what we're going to use for our workshop. You still need to know what this stuff is. So whilst I could go, I know nothing about researching, but I'm going to do this workshop slides on researching. I've still got to deliver this as a workshop. So I still need to know how to talk to this. Remembering that your slides are only ever really a visual reference or a visual aid. They are not the workshop. So if you're thinking, this is great, I can deliver anything I want, this is awesome, I can look so smart. No, you won't, because all you'll be doing is just reading what's on the screen and you won't know how to ad lib around those points because you won't know what you're talking about. So the key is here, it only ever works if you're working in the realm of your genius, the things that you know how to do, right? So I can go to Google Gemini, and this is fantastic. It's gone to way, way more depth. So I'm going to export that to my Google Docs. So export to Docs from Gemini, and it's going to produce this article here. I'm going to go into our friend over here on once it actually saves it. Come on, there it goes. It's now in my drive. I can go over to Gamma, start a brand new Gamma. I'm going to import it from somewhere. So I'm going to do a plain text, a theme import. No, I don't really want any of that sort of thing. I'm going to create a new, and then I'm going to import a file or a URL, and I can connect it to my Google Drive. So I'm going to go to my Google Drive. In the background, you won't be able to see this at the moment, but it's actually opening up a select file box, AI research. I've got my document in there. It's now uploading that document. It's going to take all that research that Google did, and now I'm going to turn this into the same kind of thing. So presentation is what I want to do. Continue. And then we then go through that same process. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to produce this on one of my themes rather than one of the default ones. Produce it down to minimal English UK is what I wanted in, but you can see they do a lot of different language variations. The visuals are going to be in my Darwin Innovation Hub theme. I'm going to use AI images, but this time I'm going to use photorealistic ones. And I'm not going to have any other things in here. And I want to get it down to probably about 15 cards again. But there's a lot more information for it to get into those 15 cards. So it's going to be doing a lot of summarizing. And what you're going to find is it does this really, really well. So let's generate again. This is probably like making those of us who spend hours and hours and hours on our workshop slides like I used to. Holy crap, it used to take me so many hours every week to do these. And now it's just bang, it's done. Because these are visual aids. They are not the workshop itself. There is another little trick to this I'll show you in a second, which is going to make it even more cool, is that we can then provide some after materials for the workshop attendees to get to. So like if I was thinking ahead, I could have made some ones for us to get for us to look at. And this is a way more interesting workshop. It's not about, framework. It's got a framework here, the briefing. It's got a workflows in there. It's got a lot more stuff and look, you've got these pretty cool images. They're definitely AI images, you can tell. About AI hallucination. So it's going into a bit more depth about the nature of AI itself, your critical mindset shift of going from getting generic bland responses to a mental model mismatch to then the solution from positive chatter to being an active strategist. So it's going into a lot of depth here. And again, keeping to the theme of this, the coloring all fits the colorings. Here's a bit of code you can copy in from there. Not really code. What it is basically, if you were to send this to your participants, they could then go and use this as a way of doing their after work. So this is looking pretty good. I'm loving the look of all this. If we go to present this, hopefully you can see this in full screen, but it looks good, right? How good does all this look? This is really, really presentable and not too over the top in the amount of content on each screen. You could also go, look, there is a lot of information on each screen. Don't worry, folks. I will be sending you the details afterwards. That's some way you could probably, be a little bit more, sure to people that they don't have to worry too much about taking in all this content. But there's a really, really cool thing we're going to do now, which takes us back to Google Gemini. And ChatGPT does this to a point as well. I'm going to do it at the same time. What I want to do now, I want to take what it did, go to a new chat. I want to add files from Drive again, which is going to pull up that exact same piece of research it just did, insert it, do a tool called Canvas. And what I'm going to ask this to do is create a highly interactive guide in the style of Darwin Innovation Hub using the same stuff and colors and fonts that you'll find at darwininnovationhub.com.au. And I want it to be highly clicky and interactive, but I want it to be multiple pages, up to 20 pages of content that you'll go on. Don't make it a single page website. I want this to be across multiple pages that people can navigate via a top level menu. Do it in just JavaScript and HTML because I'm going to use this and publish this. And I don't want it to have any extra resources like React or anything like that. So I've put all that in. I'm going to put this off. What I'm going to do is copy that because I'm going to do this in ChatGPT as well. So you can kind of see a bit of a difference here. So I'm going to go in ChatGPT, new chat. I'm going to load in the company knowledge from my Google Drive, which is connected. So my Google Drive is connected there. Oops. Go. I'm going to type in that one. What I'll probably do, in fact, I'm going to upload that actual document. So I'm going to download it because actually I don't want it to go to all my company knowledge. I just want it to go from this particular thing. So I'm just going to download this one as a Microsoft Word or a PDF file. PDF's enough. It's going to form that into a PDF, download it. So let's load that up, upload, and get rid of the company knowledge because I don't really need that now. And I'm going to turn this over to Canvas mode here, just like with Gemini. What we're doing here is essentially taking all of that material that we had and turning this into a interactive guide that you can use for people afterwards. It goes way beyond just the sharing of slides. And essentially what I can do is go and take this and put this on a website somewhere. So I can go to my SiteGround account, which is where I usually put all my stuff. I'm already logged in, but I'll re-log in again. And in my web hosting, I've got like lots of spaces and subdomains that I can use. So if I go to websites, don't need to remember this bit, but I'm going to go into, for instance, learn.clickstarter.com.au. So I'm going to go in there and I can see the folder structure of my web hosting that I'm using for the learn.clickstarter.com.au through my file manager and my public HTML files. This is all the live stuff that's currently on the internet under my subdomain. So what I can do is do a new folder, which I'm going to go call this one, let's call it research. That's what our little thing's about. Underneath research, thankfully, I am actually using this as a, sorry, it's the wrong thing. Delete that. I need to call the folder research. So bear in mind when you create a folder, so at the moment, this is learn.clickstarter.com.au. A folder here will be learn.clickstarter.com.au / then that folder. So in our case, it'll be / research. Go on the research. I'm going to create a file called an HTML file called index.html, which is what the default name is for any file that you want to find. So if I go to learn.clickstarter.com.au / research, it will go to this file. And in that file, I need to place all the stuff that it generated in here. So usually it shows you a little a preview here, but for the last 24 hours, that preview hasn't been working. So I think they're working on something at Google Gemini. Put it in there. I'm going to save that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go on the live internet to learn.clickstarter.com.au / research. Let's see what it comes up with. There you go. It just made that. This is the interactive playbook to what we just did. Look at this. How cool is this? It's got a framework. You'd go learning through it, act as my strategic advisor. I run a B2B design agency. It's got the verifications, the real world plays. It's got a prompt template here for you to copy. Competitor analyst. How damn good is this? This created a full guide for you to do. So not only in 23 minutes have we gone and created 2 workshops and then created the gammas for them, we've actually created an interactive guide as well to go with that. And we can return to the start and go all over again. I can make this all very much, my brand. I can say, okay, in here, I can just go insert this particular logo. So I can look for my website, pull out my logo and go copy the image address. And then I can go back to Gemini, insert my logo in the menu header. And there's the logo. So now it'll refactor all that code, make it all up again, and produce a version that actually has got my logo at the side of it. So I'll have to just very quickly run that through. So it's going to make all those changes. Now we'll go to ChatGPT and it's doing the same thing, but it had a mistake. It had a bit of a burp. So I'm going to just get it to do that again. Sometimes ChatGPT hits some really nasty capacity problems, whereas Google doesn't seem to get those same kind of capacity problems. That's now updated. So I'm going to go back into my web hosting. I'm going to copy over the top with the new stuff. I also need to do a thing called removing the caching. So I wouldn't expect you to know all this stuff, but you'll get there'll be a recording of this that you can go and play with. And then I can refresh this and it will now have my logo at the top. There you go. So it's now got a fully working thing with my branding. I can go fiddle with all any of this stuff from the fonts to the colors that I use to make them into my colors that are part of mine. I've got a few colors of my logo, but you can then be able to play with that to make it really, really you. So it doesn't ever look like you're off brand. So in 25 minutes, we have gone and created in Gemini a couple of workshop rundowns. So we created a workshop over here as well. We have then gone to Gamma and created 2 lots of these. So Research Like a Pro and the Solopreneurs AI Research Playbook. We have also now created an interactive online guide, which is live on the internet right now, but which I will probably take that down because I don't really want that sitting on there because I haven't really checked any of the facts in there yet, but normally I would. And we have got everything we need. Well, probably the one last thing we need is, wouldn't we like to let our people know that they can get this via a QR code? Let's go to Canva. Good old Canva. I'm going to design a logo. So I'm not actually going to design a logo. What I'm doing is using logo size because it's 500 by 500. I'm creating a QR code. So I go to my apps down on the left, type in QR, and it'll give me a QR code generator. I usually accept the number 2 one, this one here. Put in the URL that I want them to go to, generate that code, fill that out, give it a name, call it Research QR, download it as a PNG or a JPEG, whatever your preferred format is. And I'm going to now go into my Gamma. So let's go to that Solopreneurs AI handbook here. Go to the end, and I can put on an extra page. Follow along at home with my playbook. Probably I shouldn't type. I can center that text a bit. And then I'm going to go underneath and put in my QR code by just clicking there and inserting an image. So when I go over here, insert an image, I want to insert that image from upload it from my computer, research QR. Here it is. There is my QR code. And now we have a QR code that they can follow along, and then they can go, that will take you, that QR code, to that address with all this play along with it. The possibilities are endless with what you can create there. I've created online courses at the end of them so people can test themselves. I've created entire websites. This is essentially a website. Like, you look at that. That is actually a website. Like, it's not really something which you look at and go, that is just like a single page thing. It's a full website. Starts the guide. Here's all your information to work through. You know, you can click on things to act on them. Click on that, click on that, click on that, click on that, click on that. It's interactive. It does things, and that's what you can do. So that's a lot to take in. I think a lot of you will be watching the replay of this later. I'll have it on YouTube probably a little later tomorrow once I get into Adelaide. Jet setting superstar at the moment, aren't we? Gets a new pair of glasses and suddenly he's jetting around the country. So please do follow up on that. If you've got any questions, I think pretty much all of you are connected to me on LinkedIn. So please hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to answer some of those questions for you. And as I said, I'll have this on YouTube pretty much late tomorrow, and I'll send you through an email via Eventbrite just to show you where all that is. Wow. Hope you got something out of that. So thank you. Have a great evening, and I'll see you on the other side.